So we were able to work with you, obviously, through yourself and your business subject matter experts and your various technology partners and so on. But you've really outlined a key challenge, I guess, and in a lot of our clients face, not only in the meat industry, but more broadly in industry. You've got data in various systems, and each system on its own performs a very specific and important critical function, particularly things like your meat processing system. You've obviously got your time and attendance systems you referenced. You've got your finance system, your accounting system, your payroll system, excuse me. And of course, you've got lots of data in spreadsheets that sits in isolation and so on. So you're quite right. You've got data everywhere. So the key challenge that we were tasked to overcome with GMP was to then start to integrate all of those various data sources together to do it in such a way that's automated, seamless, so it doesn't require any human touch. And the vision was, and which is what's been delivered, is at the start of each business day, the business have been able to get a fully integrated platform, if you like, of reports and dashboards that shows all the various key metrics where it integrates all those various data sets together. So look, really, as Will's outlined, data is key. You've got lots of systems out there generating critical information, but the ability with which to integrate all that data to drive decision-making capabilities, that's what really drives out the change in decision-making behaviour. So maybe before we get into, I'm planning on just showing a quick demo, which is entirely fictitious, by the way, just in the defence of Will and his business. We're not showing anything that's confidential. But before we get into that, Will, it'd be really interesting just to get your thoughts and your views on what impact this platform has had so far on your business, and certainly a view to where you see it going.
I think sort of the immediate thing, the immediate benefit to the business, we have a meeting every day at 10 o'clock where all of our managers, it's a stand-up meeting, goes for 10 minutes. We huddle around a whiteboard and we report out on certain elements of the business, around safety, quality, people and development, and then finally productivity. And that productivity exercise was something that was an onerous exercise on a daily basis because we were pulling data. You had floor managers who were trying to get across and make sure the time and attendance system had been sort of closed out from the night before. You had someone in finance sitting in a pocket, pulling in various data that points into a spreadsheet and then sort of checking and verifying that it all made sense. And invariably, sort of 1 minute before the 10 o'clock stand-up meeting, someone would race down to the whiteboard with the answers. But many mornings it wouldn't exist. So the immediate impact was on being able to absolutely measure every day what had happened the day before, and driving a discipline for people to organise themselves around that function, and being able to see things like labour cost per unit accurately on a daily basis, and the cost of labour cost per person per hour, labour cost per carcass processed, all those kinds of insights were happening relatively quickly and accurately on a daily basis.
So the key is not just saving time for a few key resources, it's also about improving visibility of information as well.
It is, and I think like one of the learnings that, certainly the big learnings that came out of that for us was that there's always smart people in businesses that can create solutions or fixes probably, but they don't address root cause. So we found ourselves, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of businesses, that you would have someone really tricky or a few people that are really tricky, and they'd create workarounds. But what that did was it meant that the system was sort of fundamentally broken in areas, and the discipline that was required to get these daily reports together has now meant for our business that people do things right the first time. People understand that when a data point is captured in a production system or in a time and attendance, payroll, finance, whatever it is, it needs to be put in a way that can be easily read, interpreted, analysed by the Toustone platform overnight, so that tomorrow morning everything. And that takes a little bit of time. There's a bit of organisational kind of change in that. But because the managers, it's kind of really obvious quite quickly that stitching time does save 9, because what happens is they're in this position where they're coming in the morning and they're not facing, a scramble to get data together for the 10 o'clock. They're actually just making sure everything's squared away before they leave in the afternoon. It's 5 minutes and it's there and ready to go the next morning.
It's a fascinating observation, Will, that we often see with other clients as well, that the visibility of the accuracy of information drives the behaviour to make sure that it's accurate in the first place. And all of the efficiencies that aren't necessarily obvious but flow from that are quite substantial. So fabulous insights.
They are, and I think probably the other thing that we realised was that we'd come from a position of an absence of sort of that data. In terms of its accessibility and the analysis behind it. And then when you start to get the data, you very quickly realise that poor data is actually worse than no data. So you then quickly move to make sure the data's good. And then all of a sudden you end up in a situation where you're managing things like absenteeism much better because you have accurate daily time, that timely data to say, this is how, are we moving the needle, are we not, that sort of stuff.